My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Kramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups. Next up at UFC Vegas 31, we have Miles Johns versus Anderson dos Santos. Miles Johns 4-1 in his last five, 11-1 overall. Anderson dos Santos 3-2 in his last five, 21-8 overall. This is sort of a matchup made for Miles Johns to see how tough he actually is. I feel like the UFC says Miles Johns is a prospect. Let's give him a veteran with a bunch of experience who's really tough, and let's see what happens here. I do think these odds are wide. I think Anderson dos Santos is much more live, and I don't think Miles Johns is almost a 2-1 favorite. So we'll start with Anderson dos Santos. Anderson dos Santos is a very good BJJ black belt. He has big, heavy strikes, but he uses them just to work in to try to get himself a takedown. And he does have takedowns. He's not Ryan Hall. He is not rolling around on his back like a turtle upside down. He does have actual takedowns. They're not spectacular, though. And Miles Johns is a wrestler. Miles Johns has legitimate takedowns. Anderson dos Santos, just okay takedown defense. So you have to imagine Anderson dos Santos is perfectly happy being on the ground. He wants to get it to the ground. My concern here is that Miles Johns will take him down. I know that's going to happen. I think Anderson knows that's going to happen. The problem is when he takes him down, Anderson's going to be on his back. And how good is his jiu-jitsu off of his back? Miles Johns, very good, strong grappler with his own heavy hands and explosive speed. The wrestling is the core at everything he does. He is coming off of a spectacular knockout win. I mentioned he has very good wrestling, very heavy hands. This is a step up in competition, and his athleticism is going to be a big difference here. He's by far the better athlete. And the wrestling that he has will dictate where the fight goes. Anderson dos Santos is going to want this on the ground, but he can't necessarily dictate that that's where it's going to go because he doesn't have as good of the offensive wrestling, and his takedown defense is okay, but Miles Johns is a strong wrestler, so that could be a problem. But Miles Johns may get in trouble with Anderson's veteran crafty. I don't like a bet on either of these guys. I don't like either of these guys in DraftKings. I do like Anderson dos Santos in this matchup, and I'll tell you why. Miles Johns is more athletic. Miles Johns has the better wrestling. But Anderson has the experience. We've seen Miles Johns with some fight IQ gaps in the past. Anderson has pretty solid fight IQ, and he has that veteran savvy. So I think he is just going to come forward with those big, heavy bombs, back up Miles Johns, and then Anderson can dictate the takedown, or at least attempt to. So Miles Johns is a wrestler, but I've said this 1,000,000 times. It is easier to finish a bad offensive takedown than it is to defend a bad offensive takedown. Finishing is easier than defending. So if Anderson dos Santos comes in there, just gets a big, heavy clinch that he's set up with heavy strikes, just works his way down to the legs, he may not be the wrestler that Miles Johns is, but once he's on those hips, if he starts moving, it's a lot harder for Miles Johns to defend it than it is for Anderson to finish it. So I do think Anderson's jiu-jitsu will get this done. I do not see a stoppage here. I think this will go the distance. I think it'll be a very close fight. I'm not betting on this fight. I don't have either one of these guys in my lineup, but I do like Anderson dos Santos as the pick. I think his veteran savvy, honestly, will be the difference here. Miles Johns' athleticism is the one thing that has me concerned, is that he can just sort of force things. When you're that athletic, you can make things happen that shouldn't necessarily happen. I do like Anderson dos Santos. Again, no DraftKings. I don't have a bet just yet. Listen, if a ton of money comes in on Miles Johns and Anderson dos Santos starts jacking up, I may grab him as the underdog. If they flip, I would take Miles Johns as an underdog, but he's not. He's almost a 2-1 favorite. Monkey knife fight, I like the more. I do like the more because, again, it's every single strike. Both of these guys are probably going to be looking to grapple, which means the other person will be pitter-pattering, working, punching to get off of the cage, and the guy on top will be on top landing his own strikes. and those all add up. So I do like the more in Monkey Knife Fight. Monkey Knife Fight, you triple your money. If you play more and you hit it, you triple your money. If you play 3 of these and you lose 2, you're even. You lose 1, that means you won 2, you double your money. Monkey Knife Fight is the easiest money you will ever make playing fantasy while watching fights. Period. End of story. WeWantPicks.com/MKF.